Once upon a time in the bustling city of New York City, there was a young woman named Clara who had it all. She had a successful career as a lawyer, a loving husband, and a beautiful home. But her life was about to change in a big way when she gave birth to her first child, a baby boy she named Ben. At first, Clara was overjoyed with her new role as a mother. But as the weeks went by, she began to feel overwhelmed. She struggled to balance the demands of her job with the needs of her newborn son. And as she tried to juggle both responsibilities, she started to feel like she was losing control of her life. One day, as Clara was rushing to get to work on time, she felt a sharp pain in her lower abdomen. She ignored it at first, thinking it was just a stomach cramp. But the pain persisted, and soon she realized she needed to go to the hospital. As the doctors examined her, they discovered that Clara had developed a bladder stone, a painful condition that occurs when minerals and other substances build up in the bladder and form hard deposits. As the doctors explained her condition to her worried husband, they mentioned that surgery would be necessary to remove the stone. But they assured him that the procedure was relatively simple and that Clara would make a full recovery. The surgery went well, and Clara was able to return home after a few days of rest. But as she tried to resume her normal routine, she found herself constantly distracted by the discomfort and pain caused by her bladder stone. It was clear that something had to change. So Clara decided to take a break from work to focus on her health and her family. She spent her days at home with Ben, trying to bond with her son and enjoy motherhood. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she was wasting her potential by not working. She missed the challenges and rewards of her job and felt guilty for not being able to provide for her family financially. As the weeks passed, Clara's bladder stone grew larger and more painful. She became increasingly desperate for a solution. Finally, she decided to seek out a specialist in alternative medicine. The specialist, a wise and compassionate woman named Dr. Lee, listened to Clara's story and performed a series of tests to diagnose her condition. But she knew that the root of Clara's problem went deeper than just a physical ailment. Dr. Lee explained to Clara that her bladder stone was not just a physical problem, but a manifestation of her emotional and psychological state. She told Clara that her body had created the bladder stone as a way to express her inner turmoil and help her find balance in her life. At first, Clara was skeptical, but she was desperate for answers and willing to try anything. So she agreed to work with Dr. Lee to explore the emotional and psychological causes of her bladder stone. Through a combination of talk therapy and alternative treatments, such as acupuncture and herbal medicine, Clara began to heal. She learned that her bladder stone was a metaphor for her struggle to regain control of her life. She had allowed her circumstances to dictate her actions and emotions, and she had lost sight of her own needs and desires. But with the support of her husband and the guidance of Dr. Lee, Clara was able to turn things around. She started to set boundaries and prioritize her own well-being. She took time each day to relax and connect with her body, and she learned to trust her instincts and make decisions that were right for her. Slowly but surely, Clara's bladder stone began to shrink. With each passing day, she felt more and more like herself. She was able to balance the demands of work and motherhood without sacrificing her own needs. And she learned that she didn't have to choose between her career and her family. The story of Clara is a reminder that our bodies are always trying to communicate with us. When we pay attention to the messages our body sends us, we can use them to improve our lives and achieve our goals. Sometimes, our bodies will send us messages through illness or injury, which is what happened to Clara. Her bladder stone was not just a physical problem, but a sign that she needed to make some changes in her life. By listening to her body and working with a specialist in alternative medicine, she was able to heal and find balance in her life. Clara's story also reminds us that we don't have to suffer in silence. If you're struggling with a physical or emotional problem, please reach out for help. There are people who want to help you and resources available to support you. It can be difficult to open up and share our struggles, but doing so can be a powerful step towards healing and growth. But let's take a moment to reflect on the deeper meaning behind Clara's story and the formation of her bladder stone. What does it mean when our bodies send us messages through physical ailments? How can we learn to listen to our bodies and pay attention to the messages they're sending us? And how can we access the wisdom of alternative healing practices like acupuncture and herbal medicine? One possible interpretation of Clara's bladder stone is that it represents her fear of losing control. When she became a mother, her life was turned upside down, and she felt like she no longer had any control over her schedule or her body. This lack of control manifested itself in a physical way in the form of a bladder stone. In this sense, the bladder stone is a symbol of her stress and anxiety, a way for her body to express the emotional turmoil she's experiencing. Interestingly, the bladder is located in the lower abdomen, which is also where we store our life force or vital energy according to traditional Chinese medicine. When our bladder is full, it means we've taken in and integrated new ideas and experiences. But when it's empty, it means we're ready to release what no longer serves us and make space for new possibilities. In Clara's case, her bladder stone could be seen as a blockage in this cycle of receiving and releasing, a buildup of old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve her and are preventing her from moving forward. This brings us to the concept of the body's innate wisdom. Our bodies are constantly communicating with us, sending us signals and trying to guide us towards health and balance. Sometimes these messages are obvious, like when we feel pain or become ill. Other times they're more subtle, like when we experience unexplained symptoms or feel drawn to certain foods or activities. When we pay attention to these messages and follow our body's wisdom, we can tap into a powerful source of healing and growth. However, sometimes we ignore or override our body's messages, either because we don't want to acknowledge them or because we don't know how to interpret them. This is what happened to Clara. She was aware of the messages her body was sending her, but she didn't know how to respond to them or what they meant for her overall health and well-being. When we ignore our body's messages, we may feel out of control and disconnected from ourselves. We may experience physical ailments, emotional distress, or a sense of unease or dissatisfaction with our lives. This is why it is so important to develop a deep connection with our bodies and learn to interpret their messages. One way to do this is through alternative healing practices like acupuncture and herbal medicine. These practices are rooted in the ancient wisdom of traditional Chinese medicine, which recognizes the interconnectedness of the mind, body, and spirit. Acupuncture, for example, involves inserting thin needles into specific points on the body to stimulate the flow of energy and promote healing. Herbal medicine uses natural remedies to balance the body's systems and restore health. By incorporating these practices into her treatment plan, Clara was able to tap into the body's innate wisdom and accelerate her healing process. Acupuncture and herbal medicine are not just complementary therapies, but powerful tools for understanding and addressing the root causes of physical and emotional problems. They offer a holistic approach to healing that takes into account the unique needs of each individual and helps them unlock their body's innate wisdom. Clara's story is a testament to the power of alternative healing and the importance of listening to our body's messages. Through acupuncture and herbal medicine, she was able to release old patterns and beliefs that were blocking her energy flow and causing her physical ailments. By paying attention to her body's wisdom, she was able to heal and find balance in her life. In conclusion, when we pay attention to the messages our body sends us, we can use them to improve our lives and achieve our goals. Our bodies are always trying to communicate with us, and sometimes they will send us messages through physical ailments. When this happens, it's important to listen to our body's wisdom and seek support if needed. Alternative healing practices like acupuncture and herbal medicine can be powerful tools for understanding and addressing the root causes of physical and emotional problems. They offer a holistic approach to healing that takes into account the unique needs of each individual and helps them unlock their body's innate wisdom. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed the story and learned something new, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Have a wonderful day.